let's look at Russia's foreign policy situation right now. It's actually more dire than it was several years ago, isn't it? Syria, Assad was toppled. Cuba is being menaced by the United States, or from his perspective. Venezuela, Trump liberated it. Viktor Orban, his key Trojan horse inside the EU, toppled from power. Is the Russian, from the perspective of Putin, has he really taken a hit?
I think he has taken a hit.
I forgot to mention Iran, which is also a key, maybe ally is too strong, but certainly they have a very warm relationship.
Well, that's an excellent point, Jacob. I think he is in rather dire straits internationally. To me, the really striking moment was his recent visit to China. China is now Russia's major ally, its major patron. I really would have to define the relationship that way, too, because, it used to be that they were kind of partners on an equal footing. Now Xi Jinping treats Putin really as a junior partner. Putin went to China with a major request. He wants to expand a pipeline network that already exists to China so he can send China more oil and natural gas, and China didn't bite. China just didn't feel like it. They didn't accede to his request. And in general, the treatment of Putin during that visit was quite aloof. And that was very striking, because I think even the Chinese can see how his international stature has been diminished by all these things that have been happening. It's also very striking that the great Russia lover, Donald J. Trump, has now kind of expressed his apathy towards the whole situation between Ukraine and Russia. Marco Rubio has essentially washed his hands of the Ukrainian peace process.
Rubio has actually been very critical of Russia in the past couple of weeks on Ukraine, saying they can't win the war.
Exactly.
And do you think Trump smells a loser in Putin now?
I think so. I think the sheen is off. Definitely. That's the way it feels at the moment. Yeah. And Europeans have gotten a bit of a spine. I wouldn't say that they've still completely stepped up, but they have recently managed to launch this new package of sanctions, which is very striking. So they're also not treating Putin as kind of this monolithic, threatening figure that he used to be.
It's very interesting because Europe has pretty much emancipated itself from Russian energy sources, hasn't it?
It really has. It's been a striking transformation. I mean, it's still in progress, right? You don't do that sort of thing overnight, but the extent that they have managed to liberate themselves from Russian energy resources is really pretty astonishing. People tend to forget also that the United States is the biggest petroleum superpower in the world today, and we've really, been picking up some of the slack. The Europeans have managed to find a lot of other sources for energy. And of course, they're also boosting renewables and nuclear power. So, Russia has this tendency, you can see it with, Finland and Sweden joining NATO after the invasion of Ukraine. Russia has this extraordinary tendency to harm itself with its actions, right?
Do you think Russia is headed for collapse as a unitary state?
I feel it's very early to say that, but certainly, it's always been a fragile state, and I think its fragility is becoming very apparent at the moment.